The ocean swallowed entire coastlines in minutes. The ground opened and cities disappeared before anyone could run. Fire consumed everything for hundreds of miles in every direction. Natural disasters have shaped human history more than any war, any empire, or any invention. They have erased civilizations, redirected rivers, and changed the course of human migration permanently. These are not just disasters. These are the moments when nature reminded humanity exactly how small it is. We are counting down the 7 biggest natural disasters in recorded human history, ranked by scale, death toll, and the permanent mark they left on the world. By number 1, you will understand why ancient civilizations believed the gods were angry. Number 7. The Galveston Hurricane, United States, 1900. On the 8th of September 1900, a Category 4 hurricane made landfall on Galveston Island, Texas. At the time, Galveston was one of the most prosperous cities in America. The population was approximately 37,000 people, wealthy, established, and completely exposed. The storm surge reached over 15 feet. The entire island, which sits at an average elevation of less than 9 feet above sea level, was completely submerged. Between 6,000 and 12,000 people died in a single night. The exact number was never determined because entire families were washed out to sea with no survivors left to report them missing. It remains the deadliest natural disaster in United States history. What makes it so devastating beyond the death toll is what happened before the storm hit. The United States Weather Bureau had received warnings from Cuban meteorologists days earlier predicting a catastrophic hurricane heading directly for the Texas coast. Those warnings were dismissed, ignored. The head of the United States Weather Bureau did not believe Cuban forecasters were capable of accurate predictions. Thousands of people died because of institutional arrogance. After the storm, Galveston built a 17-foot seawall and raised the entire grade of the city by up to 17 feet using dredged sand pumped from the ocean floor. The engineering project took years and cost what would be hundreds of millions of dollars today. The seawall still stands. The city never fully recovered its former prominence. Number 6. The Bhola Cyclone, Bangladesh, 1970. On the 12th of November 1970, the most deadly tropical cyclone ever recorded made landfall on what was then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. The Bhola Cyclone produced a storm surge of up to 35 feet that swept across the flat, low-lying Ganges Delta without warning. The region was one of the most densely populated on Earth, with millions of people living on river islands and coastal lowlands less than 10 feet above sea level. The death toll is estimated at between 300,000 and 500,000 people. Some estimates go as high as 1 million. The scale is almost incomprehensible. In a single night, entire villages ceased to exist. Islands with populations of tens of thousands were completely swept clean. Survivors described floating on debris for days, surrounded by bodies. The Pakistani government's response was catastrophically slow and widely perceived as indifferent to the Bengali population. The anger that followed the cyclone and the failed relief effort directly fueled the Bangladesh Liberation War the following year, which resulted in the independence of Bangladesh in 1971. A natural disaster triggered a revolution and the creation of a nation. Number 5. The Chinese floods, China, 1931. Between July and November of 1931, China experienced what is widely considered the deadliest natural disaster in the 20th century, and possibly in all of recorded human history. The Yellow River, the Yangtze River, and the Huai River all flooded simultaneously following an extraordinary sequence of heavy snowstorms in winter, a severe drought in spring, and then an unusually intense summer monsoon season that produced 7 cyclones in July alone. The average is 2. The flooding submerged an area the size of England. Approximately 100,000 square miles of farmland was destroyed. Cities were submerged for months. The death toll from direct drowning, subsequent famine, and disease is estimated at between 1 million and 4 million people. Some Chinese historians place the figure higher. The number is so large it is almost impossible to process. For context, the entire population of New Zealand is approximately 5 million people. The 1931 Chinese floods may have killed nearly that many. The disaster occurred during a period of political instability and civil war in China, which made coordinated relief essentially impossible. International aid was minimal. The scale of death was largely invisible to the outside world. It remains one of the least discussed mass death events in modern history. Number 4. The Indian Ocean Earthquake and Tsunami, 2004. At 58 minutes past midnight on the 26th of December 2004, a magnitude 9.1 earthquake ruptured along a 1,200-mile fault line off the coast of northern Sumatra, Indonesia. It was the third largest earthquake ever recorded by a seismograph. The energy released was equivalent to approximately 23,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs detonating simultaneously. The rupture caused the entire planet to vibrate measurably. It triggered earthquakes as far away as Alaska, and then it generated a tsunami. Walls of water traveling at the speed of a commercial aircraft crossed the Indian Ocean in every direction. They reached the coast of Sumatra within minutes. They reached Thailand, Sri Lanka, and India within hours. They reached the coast of Somalia in Africa within 7 hours. 227,000 people died across 14 countries. It was the deadliest tsunami in recorded history. What made it uniquely catastrophic was the complete absence of any warning system in the Indian Ocean at the time. The Pacific Ocean had a tsunami warning network. The Indian Ocean did not. Seismologists in Hawaii detected the earthquake and knew a tsunami had likely been generated. By the time any warnings reached Indian Ocean coastlines, the waves had already arrived. In the aftermath, an international tsunami warning system was established for the Indian Ocean within 2 years. It has already saved lives in subsequent events. 227,000 people died to build that system. Number 3. The Shaanxi Earthquake, China, 1556. On the 23rd of January, 1556, an earthquake struck Shaanxi province in central China at approximately 5 in the morning. Most people were asleep. The earthquake is estimated at magnitude 8. The region was densely populated, with a significant portion of the population living in Yaodong, cave dwellings carved directly into the soft loess cliffs that characterize the local landscape. When the earthquake hit, those cliffs collapsed, and entire communities were buried alive simultaneously. The death toll is estimated at 830,000 people. It remains the deadliest earthquake in recorded human history. The destruction extended across approximately 500 miles. In some counties, 60% of the population died in a single morning. Rivers changed course, mountains shifted, the landscape was physically altered. A Chinese imperial official named Qin Keda survived the earthquake and later wrote about it in detail, producing one of the earliest systematic accounts of earthquake behavior. He observed that people who panicked and ran immediately were often killed by falling debris, while those who crouched in open spaces or braced themselves survived at higher rates. His observations were essentially correct and align with modern earthquake survival guidance written 470 years later. Number 2. The Yellow River Flood, China, 1887. China appears on this list twice. There is a reason for that. The Yellow River has flooded more times in recorded history than any other river on Earth. It has been called China's sorrow for thousands of years, and in September of 1887, it produced the second deadliest natural disaster in recorded history. Following unusually heavy rainfall, the Yellow River breached its dikes in Henan province and spread across the North China Plain. The floodwaters eventually covered an area of approximately 50,000 square miles. Entire cities were submerged. Agricultural land was destroyed on a scale that triggered immediate mass famine. The death toll from direct drowning and subsequent starvation and disease is estimated at between 900,000 and 2 million people. The numbers are staggering. But what makes this disaster particularly significant is what it reveals about human decisions made over centuries. The Yellow River carries an extraordinary amount of sediment. Over thousands of years, that sediment deposits on the riverbed, gradually raising the water level. To manage this, Chinese engineers had built a system of increasingly high dikes over centuries, effectively raising the river above the surrounding landscape in places. The Yellow River in Henan province runs up to 30 feet above the surrounding farmland in some locations. It is held back by nothing but walls of earth. When those walls fail, the water does not flow downhill to the sea. It spreads across an entire plain with nowhere to drain. The 1887 flood was not a natural disaster in the purest sense. It was the result of centuries of human engineering decisions colliding with a single season of heavy rain. Number 1. The Great Chinese Famine. China, 1959 to 1961. The deadliest disaster in human history was not caused by an earthquake, a flood, or a hurricane. It was caused by a decision. Between 1958 and 1962, Chinese Communist Party Chairman Mao Zedong implemented a series of agricultural and industrial policies known as the Great Leap Forward. The goal was to rapidly transform China from an agrarian economy into a socialist industrial society. The execution was catastrophic. Farmers were ordered to abandon traditional agriculture and smelt steel in backyard furnaces. Grain production quotas were set at impossible levels and falsely reported as achieved by local officials who feared punishment for failure. Food was exported to the Soviet Union to demonstrate economic success while rural communities starved. A campaign to eliminate sparrows, which were blamed for eating grain, was so successful that it triggered an explosion in the insect population that destroyed crops on a scale the sparrows never could. The resulting famine lasted 3 years. Estimates of the death toll range from 15 million to 55 million people. The most widely cited academic estimate is approximately 30 million. 30 million people in 3 years. It is the largest mass death event in recorded human history, and for decades, the Chinese government suppressed any acknowledgement that it had occurred. What makes it the number 1 entry on this list is not just the scale of death, it is the mechanism. Every other disaster on this list was caused by the Earth itself, by geological forces, atmospheric systems, and the raw power of nature colliding with human settlement. This one was caused entirely by human beings making decisions about other human beings. And that is the most disturbing fact in this entire video. So there they are. 7 disasters that reshaped coastlines, ended civilizations, and killed tens of millions of people across human history. But here is the thing that stays with you after looking at this list. Almost every single one of them was made worse by a human decision. A warning ignored. A relief effort delayed. A policy implemented. An engineering choice made centuries earlier. Nature provides the disaster. Humans decide how bad it gets. If this changed how you see human history, subscribe to World Ranked and watch our next video where we rank the 7 most powerful weapons ever created. The story behind number 1 is darker than anything on this list.